How can I end the pandemic of a complaining and a grumbling spirit? How can I overcome this area or this weakness of complaining and grumbling? You see, friends, we've not only been living these years in battling this pandemic of the virus that we've been all of us struggling with, but there is a greater subtle pandemic that we are not aware of, and it is the pandemic of a complaining and a grumbling spirit that has been destroying relationships all over. Today I'm going to share with you 3 steps of how we can overcome the spirit of complaining and a grumbling spirit. But if you haven't watched our previous reflection, we have shared about 4 types of complainers. It's very important because that will give us clarity and identify what kind of a complainer or a grumbler I am. It's only when I understand and I have clarity, it's only then I can take the right steps to overcome. So I really encourage you to look at that Lenten reflection. So here are 3 steps that will help us to flatten the curve of the pandemic of complaining and grumbling. The first R, that is recognize. I need to recognize, friends, that the problem is not out there, but the problem is in here. We many a times play the blame game and we point our fingers at everybody else, but many a times, and most of it, the problem is with ourselves. Jesus says it so beautifully in Matthew chapter 7 verse 3, and he says, "Why do you look at the speck of dust in your brother's eye when you do not notice the log in your very own eye?" And that is so true, friends. We look at other people but not ourselves. You see, there's a beautiful scripture which says, "Abundance of the heart the mouth speaks." What is within us comes forth. If there is bitterness, if there is negativity, if there is unforgiveness, if there is anger inside of me, friends, then whatever comes out will be negative. I need to recognize this area, friends, that the problem first is not out there, it is in me. It is not in anybody else, and I need to take responsibility. Maybe you're a youth and maybe you blame your parents and you blame society and your teachers. Maybe it's the adults and you blame everybody else. We need to take responsibility of this and recognize that the problem is within me first. The second R is to realize. I need to realize, friends, that the spirit or this attitude of complaining and grumbling and cursing is detrimental and it is dangerous. It takes a spark to light an entire forest into a huge fire. It just takes few words, but it can destroy a relationship. Our words can be like the double-edged sword that cuts and slices people, and especially our relationships. And how much we have done that. I know I have done that, friends. I know that in my college days, people would love to be around me. Why? Because Lenny is so funny. But you see, I would pick on this one person, I would make fun of that person, I would ridicule that person, and I would say many kinds of things, and I would make everyone laugh. But you see, I knew that I was hurting that person. And slowly I began to realize people did not want to be around me. They did not want my company. And because I hurt so many people in my life. And so, friends, I need to realize that the way I speak, the way I communicate, it is dangerous and it is detrimental. The third R, it is to reverse. What do I mean by reverse? Scholars and experts always tell us that whenever we want to change a trait or a character or an attitude, we need to replace that with the opposite. And so if I want to change a trait that is negative, I need to replace it with a positive. I'm sure you'd agree with me. Many times we make these resolutions that I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that. And we try to change that with our willpower. But in a week's time, we are just back to our old self. And that's because we do not reverse or we do not replace that with the right kind of an attitude. And so, friends, Paul tells us in 1 Thessalonians, in everything give thanks. Friends, I must have an attitude of thanksgiving, an attitude of gratitude. It needs to be replaced from a spirit and an attitude of complaining and grumbling and cursing. That's the antidote for complaining and grumbling. It is an attitude of gratitude, friends. I need to remind myself, I need to remember God's favor over my life. I need to remember that it is God who has always provided for me. I need to remember that God accepts me just the way I am, with my weaknesses, with my frailty, with my brokenness. He accepts me just the way I am, and I need to do the same with others. I need to remember that it is God who has forgiven me every moment of my life. Friends, there's so much to thank the Lord for. I need to thank the Lord for the gift of life, the clothes I wear, the food on my table, the godly family, the beautiful mentors and friends I have around. God gives us all of that only to help us and love us and support us. Friends, there is so much we need to be thankful for. And I need to keep reminding myself every moment, especially when those moments when I want to grumble or I want to complain or I want to curse someone. I need to just remember, Lord, your favor over my life. And as we do that, especially during these days of Lent, friends, these days of grace and mercy, the Lord will help you to overcome this area, this attitude of complaining and grumbling and cursing. And you will change from being that kind of a person to a person who is always lifting, exhorting, and encouraging others. Friends, I know that as I've been working on this area of encouraging, today has become my lifestyle. People tell me, Lenny, you're so encouraging. Lenny, when I'm with you, I feel my spirit lifted up. That's only by the grace of the Lord. And that can be the same for you, friends. Yes, I've not reached there, friends. I'm still a student and I'm still learning to overcome these areas. And I'm sure, friends, that during this Lenten season, with the Lord's grace, we will be more than overcomers, especially in this area of complaining, grumbling, and cursing. And I believe that this Lent for us is going to be our blessed Lent ever.